So I've taken animals in over the years from all kinds of backgrounds. Um, some of them have a history of abuse, some of them have a history of neglect. And what I've learned about myself and what I've learned about helping animals through the years is that sometimes, obviously, when things happen, animals are going to develop issues. They are going to have coping mechanisms, sometimes unhealthy ones, but they're going to have ways that they feel they need to protect themselves, or ways that they feel they need to make themselves feel better. Just like people, we're the same in this. The difference is that animals can't talk. Animals can't tell you what happened. They can't tell you how they've been hurt. They can't tell you how they've been let down. They can't tell you what is a trigger for them. These are things that you learn by observing their behavior, by trial and error. And sometimes we stumble on to a trigger in an animal that sets them off, that takes them to a place that is dark, or that is aggressive, that is extremely fearful or extremely anxious. And it's up to us to help them through these things, to help them through whatever's happened to them, to help them not go to that place that they felt they had to go to in the past to protect themselves or to feel better or to forget. When we take responsibility for an animal, especially an animal with a history of abuse, or an animal where you don't know its history, and this can obviously also be applied to us, but when we decide to support another, knowing that they have, or very well may have, some issues, we are also taking responsibility for those issues. We are taking responsibility to undo what was done. And sometimes for that, we stumble onto those places where we get a glimpse into what may have happened. And sometimes it's not pretty, sometimes it's difficult to deal with. And how we respond to those situations is going to determine whether we are helping the animal to let go and move on and stay here and now, or go back into the past, go back into that place they were in before, that place where things were awful, where they were hurt. So that's a difficult thing to take responsibility for, because a lot of the time what I've felt and faced in myself is that we respond to their responses, to their fear and aggression and withdrawal in different ways. Sometimes we take it personally, or sometimes we react to their responses, and it's so easy to blame it on maybe them being naughty or them being a bastard, because they can't say to us, when you do that, it makes me fear for my life, or when you do that, it reminds me of a time where I was hurt. So we fill in the blanks, and sometimes especially when we're angry, or when we are frustrated, or when we don't know what to do, sometimes we fill those blanks in with our own interpretations, which are not always fair to the animal, because we are looking for an excuse to keep justifying, a way to keep justifying our response, whatever it is. And it can be difficult to change that pattern. It can be difficult to really step out of our own experiences and step into that position of really looking at life through the eyes of that animal, looking at experiences through their eyes. And sometimes there is no way to know what it's like to look through their eyes. And we take for granted how they may have had to have lived in the past. We take for granted what they may have been through. And we take for granted how they may have processed their experiences, how they may have tried to deal with them or cope with them. So at the end of the day, it's up to us to stand in that role of support, to stand in that role of, okay, I see your pain, I see your fear, I see what has happened to you, I see that something has happened to you, and I'm going to be here for you. I'm not going to blame you. I'm going to find a way to help you. I'm going to find a way to help you cope more effectively in a more healthy way with what has happened. And something that I do to help myself to get out of my personal reactions to something happening with an animal is, instead of assuming or allowing thoughts of, are they being naughty, or they're being an asshole, is I ask myself, or I ask the animal rather, how can I help you? What can I do to help you? How can I make your life better? How can I help you to feel better, to be better, to enjoy yourself more, to deal with whatever is going on now? Okay, before the flies make a house here, I'm gonna end the video. If you have any questions or comments, or would like me to expand on any points, leave a message, drop a comment. If you'd like to support me, you can do so on Patreon. The link is below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.